ladies and gentlemen, I was planning on making a completely different video, but I hop on my phone after waking up, I check my mentions, and lo and behold, I have a ping for a special November announcement. So I rush over to my computer, I turn on the camera, and here we are. I'm trying to find it right now. News. November development team letter. This is my live reaction. I have not read this. I already have some opinions about it, but I like the fact that it has already 50,000 views. That's very promising because, you know, the health of the game is important. And it was only released 7 hours ago. So I encourage you to read this. I know the forums are kind of a cesspool, but let's go ahead. Or you can just watch me read it. Screw it. All right. Greetings, agents! This is the Marvel Future Fight development team. As we approach the end of November in the year 2023, we would like to send our greetings to our agents through the development team letter. Okay, I promised that I was going to talk about the good first, then the bad. I just want to point out to you that they are pointing out the timing of this letter. And I will be also discussing the timing of this letter later, but I want to focus on the good stuff first. Okay. First of all, we appreciate all our agents who unchangingly love and enjoy Marvel Future Fight. Woo woo! That's us, that's us. They're talking about us. They're talking about us, fam. We are glad to have our second letter after the letter of appreciation from the 8-year anniversary earlier this year. Okay, interesting. Looking back on our previous letter, we were able to update all contents included in the letter and are more than happy to see our agents enjoying Marvel Future Fight even though there's still room for improvement. Hey, there is still room for improvement. That's the attitude you should have. That's the attitude you should have. Positive with room for growth. As the end of the year approaches, we are sure many of our agents are making plans for the upcoming year 2024. The Future Fight development team has also been preparing some new changes. Through our letter, we would like to introduce a few upcoming update changes. New Epic Quest! Yo! Let's go! New Epic Quest, baby! We believe the biggest enjoyment for playing Future Fight is the opportunity to encounter numerous heroes of the Marvel Universe within the game. Yes, this is true. We have introduced new heroes this year, yes, and plan to add even more in 2024. Woo! In particular, we will introduce a powerful new native tier hero. Sorry, I made it sound like they were native as in aboriginal. It says native tier, which means like native tier 3, potentially native tier 4, potentially. Okay, they didn't say what tier. But hey, if they're aboriginal too, that'd be fucking awesome. In particular, we will introduce a new powerful native tier hero along with new regular heroes through a new epic quest, which our agents have been eagerly waiting for. Although the new epic quest, oh, you can't see, is still in the process of development and requires some time until the update, we will do our best to prepare the update as soon as possible. Okay, that's awesome. That's really awesome. That's really, really good. Okay, what else we got? World boss improvements and new world boss. Oh, I love that first word. Oh, I get so hard for improvements. After the August update, we were able to hear various opinions and voices of our agents through an in-game survey. Thankfully, we could find out that the favorite game mode of our agents was World Boss. Yes, it is. Okay, we've gone over this. So we are preparing improvements and a new World Boss legend for our agents to enjoy the game mode even more. First of all, we would like to make it easier to acquire the type you want for Titan records from World Boss Legend difficulty. Oh, that's very good. In this way, we will reduce the stress of acquiring Titan's records for agents who mainly clear World Boss Legend. Oh, that's very good. That's very, very good. We are also aware that many agents are playing only certain types of world bosses and will prepare improvements so agents can choose various bosses based on their needs. Okay, I don't know exactly what that means. Lastly, we are preparing a new World Boss Legend as well. The new World Boss Legend will be cleared with a different approach from existing world bosses. Ooh, I like that very much. I very much like the wording they're using. I hope they follow through. Please look forward to the new world boss as we minimize the elements that increase the clear time. Oh, please look forward to the new boss as we will minimize the elements that increase the clear time, such as the world boss cinematic sequences. Interesting. Okay. Aside from the above, we are also preparing various features and improvements for our agents to enjoy Marvel Future Fight more conveniently. For example, story mode fragments will be able to be combined into a different number. Oh my god, that's so good! Holy yo, that's a mega banger! Oh my god, that's a mega giga banger! This will help resolve any imbalances in the quantity of story fragments from different numbers. Oh my god, I'm gonna load my phone right now. You guys gotta see this. I have like 700 of one of the fragments. We are also working on various convenience features and will introduce them through future updates. Oh, I love convenience, baby. Yeah, give it to me. The development team will continue to strive so agents can enjoy Marvel Future Fight. Let's go, baby, let's go! If you have any inconveniences or feedback, please feel free to let us know, and we will consider them in our future updates. Hell yeah, baby, hell yeah! Lastly, we would like to send a special reward to our agents with our gratitude. 감사합니다. Please receive the reward through the separate pop-up screen that will be displayed when accessing the game. Oh, I'm on it right now. What are we getting? What are we getting? We're getting an Odin's Blessing. Yo, we're getting an Odie. We're getting an Odie. Let's go, baby. All right, the development team is done. Thank you. Okay, they said thank you. All right, it's done. If we go over to the game, you can view the development note here by clicking View and then just reading what I just read. I'm not going to read this again, obviously. But, yeah. Oh, and I got an Odin's Blessing Insight. Good luck to you. Hopefully you get a good Odin's Blessing. But I did log in here not to show you that or show you pop-ups. I apologize. But to show you that if you go to my inventory and you go over to materials, you can see that I have 754. And that's not that many. That's not that many. I'm sure there are people out there with a much higher point difference. I actually, at one point, I had about 500 of these, and I started skipping the first 3 stages for a few months. When I would play the story mode Dimensional Clash, I would fast forward. I wouldn't go to 1-1. I would actually start at 2-1. And then I would queue it up like this. This was before they had the start from stage 1 thing. And I would queue it up from 2-1. Because at that point I figured, what's the point of having like 7,000 of the 1 fragments if I'm never going to be able to use them in any way? I'll save myself the what is it, the 24 energy, right? 24 energy per day doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up over time. So wow, this is huge. Okay, so to recap and to just give you my thoughts in a positive way, I'm very excited for the new epic quest. I think it's awesome. I think new characters are essential. I think powerful native tier heroes are also essential because they give players something to, like, a long-term goal. Long-term goals, people forget, but they have always been a staple of the game. Back when the games first started, when they introduced World Boss, and they introduced the ability to farm to build up Proxima and Corvus, and then Thanos, and the rest of the Black Order, these were always stretch goals for players, right? And the most beautiful thing about these is that they do not require any investment of premium currency, right? You don't have to pay crystals. Obviously, you can pay crystals to speed up unlocking World Boss Legend in this case, but this is an epic quest, so that doesn't apply to that. I'm just talking about specifically, you know, like Mephisto, for example, or Gore or Kang. But with these epic quest tied heroes, you know, you get them through just sheer grinding, which I do really appreciate. So I like the epic quest. As for the World Boss and New World Boss, I also like it. I'm more excited about the improvements to World Boss rather than a new World Boss, because we already have, what, 5 or 6 World Bosses? We already have quite a few. We have 6 World Bosses. But I am still excited about that. But yeah, mostly excited about the improvements. And then I like everything else. I do like that they're giving us an example of some other features that they're adding. They're not just blowing smoke and saying, hey, oh, we have various features, just, you know, and then leaving it up to some vague, you know, justification, so that in the future, when an update comes out and people look back and say, well, where were these various features and improvements, they could just point to anything that they were adding and saying, oh, that was the feature, that was the improvement, without any sort of reference to the source material that they talked to us about now. So yeah. That is what I'm excited about. That is what I'm hopeful for. And I, you know, this is part of the reason why I still play the game. I know a lot of people feel this way. But communication is key. Releasing 2 dev notes a year, I think, is really good. More would be better, of course, but at least 2, I think, is very, very good. Now, being Cynicalex, I do have to also play the bad guy here. Okay, so. In playing the bad guy, I do want to point out at the very beginning that the timing of this letter is as convenient for the marketing team as possible. What do I mean by this? Black Friday is around the corner. We are mere days away, right? We're just days away from Black Friday hitting the game with all of the sales and all of the encouragement to spend money. And I'm not a hypocrite. I will be spending a lot of money. Okay, just to be clear here, just to be crystal clear with you guys here, I will be spending, you know, anywhere from like 3 to 5 times what I normally spend in a month. but I budget myself accordingly, so I spend less in those other months so that I can spend more during the anniversary and I can spend more during Black Friday. But yes, it is not lost on me the fact that this is being released just before Black Friday, like literally less than 10 days, right? So that is very convenient for them, and it obviously serves the purpose. I mean, they can obviously have good intentions, but we also have to be aware of the fact that it very much serves their goal if they want to assuage people's concerns about the game, if they want to reassure us that the game it has a bright future ahead and there's all these things planned, because then people are more likely to spend money. Okay, that is also they reference it here, not really reference it, but it's sort of pointed out here, but then it's also doubly pointed out by the fact that the only other dev note that they released this year was after the anniversary, right? So the two biggest spending events of the year, anniversary, Black Friday, are also the only two times in the year where they bothered to communicate with us. There's a very cynical perspective you can take with that information. I'm not going to take it, but I do want to point it out to you in case you want to take it. And also, in case that's the way that you feel about the game. I'm not here to tell you how to feel about the game. I'm just here to tell you what I think, okay? And I'm sort of, for those of you wondering, I'm somewhere in the middle. I am hopeful about these changes, but I am also skeptical about these changes, and I'm also very acutely aware that they are, in part, sending this letter in order to ensure the big bucks keep flowing in for the game. But at the same time, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, I can play devil's advocate. The game doesn't make that much money relative to a bunch of factors, but just generally speaking, the game does not, I think Marvel Future Fight, in a good month makes maybe a few $1 million, just to put this into reference for you guys. I think Marvel Future Fight, if it has a really good month, like let's say November because of Black Friday, or April or May because of the anniversary, maybe they make like $3 million, $5 million, maybe. On a bad month, a game like Nikkei, which arguably is like just straight up worse than MFF, makes 10, 20, 30, 40 million dollars. Like, we're talking magnitudes more. And if you've ever seen commercials for Nikkei, you know that that's just like a glorified cooming simulator. Like, it's just a coomer's delight. It's wild. I'm not even going to compare MFF to games to like actual games like Genshin that just print money, or like Honkai Star Rail or whatever. I'm talking about games like Nikkei, or like just bad, straight up bad anime cash grab games that just profit double, triple what MFF profits with a fraction of the effort. So at the same time, it's not lost on me that they're not really bilking us for everything that we've got. Anyways. Okay, ranted on that for too long. Let's take a look at the Epic Quest from a slightly different angle. Although I am excited for the Epic Quest, I am still skeptical and still ringing the alarm bell of what do we do with these characters? Because they are saying new regular heroes. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have new regular heroes, but as the roster continues to expand, the question remains ever persistent. What do we do with all of these extra characters, right? And saying, oh, just throw them in Shadowlands. Saying, oh, just throw them in Alliance Conquest. This is not a good enough justification. This is not a good enough answer. So I need the devs to really do a better job to answer this question through game mode improvements or new game modes, right? They really need to give us something to do, something that feels more meaningful than the existing content for these sort of leftover toys, right? It's the easiest example. It's the easiest analogy here. The leftover toys syndrome. Even with the most recent update, right? There are some things you can do with Ms. Marvel, sure. There are some things you can do with Spectrum, sure. But for the vast majority of players, they're either not building these characters at all, or just for collection's sake, they're buying the uniforms and just leaving them. And that's not really a good answer. That's really not a good answer. Even if these characters just have a short time in the spotlight, they need to be quote unquote spotlighted when they're released, right? Because it creates a sense of discovery. and it creates a sense of value. You know, even if it's something as stupid as just give Spectrum an insane buff, right? Give her a buff. Let's say, like, in this list, right? Just put Spectrum on this list, even if she's used or not used, I don't care. Put her on this list. Put Miss Marvel on the list too, sure, whatever, and give her, like, you know, 100% more attack and defense and HP. This is a very lazy, sort of bad way of balancing things. But if you just had, like, a week where anywhere you use Spectrum, she was going to be really good, then at least you would give people a week to have fun with the character, right? Whereas now, it's like, okay, why am I buying this uniform? She's not the best speed type. Or, sorry, she's not the best anything, bro. She's not the best blast type. She's not the best female type. She's not the best anything. Literally anything. She does not do anything best. There's literally no reason to buy the uniform except for being a completionist. Or if you want, like, very, very slightly better results in Alliance Conquest. But at this point, it's so minuscule. You're talking about less than 1%. Less than half a percentage. You know what I'm saying? So I really need them to address this ongoing question of, like, what do we do with the other characters, right? You have the meta characters, you have the support characters, right? You have these two factions of really valuable characters, and then you sort of just have everyone else. But within the everyone else, you have two factions. You have characters who are obviously bad and need reworks and updates, right? We have a bunch of them here, like, okay, sure, I'm not using these characters because I know they're bad. That's fine, right? Not every character has to be good. That's not what I'm saying. But the bigger problem, the growing issue here is characters who have been reworked in the last year, right? There was an effort made to rework these characters. They got brand new uniforms, right? They got brand new skills, and they are useless. They are borderline useless. This is truly the most at-risk group of characters in the game, and this is what I really need the devs to focus on. Characters who were released in the last year who essentially have no use at all, and are just, like, really shiny, really expensive, empty toys. So I need them to we need them to address that. As for the world boss improvements and new world boss, I really like the stuff about the Titans records. I think it's awesome. However, I am skeptical about world boss improvements because they're saying the following. So remember, last year they had a dev note, not this year. Last year they had a dev note where they said they were going to improve world boss rewards so that you would very easily be able to tell, where the difficulty spikes, you get more rewards. That never happened. Yes, Kang on average drops more carbonadium than Null and Mephisto. That is true. But that's true whether you're doing stage 1 of Kang or stage 99 of Kang. It doesn't matter, right? You can do stage 1 of Kang and get 40 carbonadium, right? You can play Null as much as you want. You're never going to get 40 carbonadium. So they didn't really fix that. They didn't create any sort of incentive for players to climb world boss. And although there's a little bit more carbonadium from Kang and Jean, it's not that much, especially considering how much effort you have to put in to go from Null and Mephisto to Kang and Jean. It's sometimes not worth the effort. So that's in my mind, that they said that they were going to do that and they didn't do that. And then they said here, we are aware that many agents are only playing certain types of world bosses and will prepare improvements so agents can choose various bosses. This sounds like they're going to normalize or equalize or average out the rewards. That's literally the opposite of what they said they were going to do last year. Last year they said that they were going to make the world bosses legends different so that the players would have an incentive to climb. That's literally why they named the world boss legends in Roman numerals 1 through 6. You can clearly see it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going up, which implies the difficulty goes up, and it does. And it also implies that the rewards go up, and they do, but not enough, right? So for them to now say that they're going to allow us, they're going to make improvements so we can choose various bosses, I don't want to read too much into this and doomsay, but it sounds like they're just going to normalize all of the rewards. And then that completely defeats the purpose of this. So I just want to point that out. However, in saying that, I acknowledge that there are some things that they can do. They can create an additional system where it tracks how many world boss legends you clear. And once you clear a certain number of world boss legends, it just poops out a reward. And they could even have a different tracker for each world boss. So like the achievements, where it tracks how many times you've beaten each world boss, right? Because we have achievements like that. If you go down to boss, you can see defeat Gore 250 times, and it poops out 25 of this. Defeat Supergiant, and it poops this out. Defeat Cable, and it poops that out, right? They already have this in the game. But if they add another one that's on this page, and it's specifically for tier 4 materials, or it's specifically for the CTP, the exclusive CTP that the boss drops, right? And it's like, hey, if you beat Mephisto 500 times, you're going to guarantee yourself a mighty CTP of regeneration. And on the way, at every 100 levels, you get 100 carbonadium. I know it's not a lot, okay? But this is the MFF style. So you know what? It is what it is, right? I'm just priming us for what they're going to do. If they do something like that, that's fine. But if they normalize the rewards, okay. If they normalize the rewards across all across all 6 bosses, it's just going to be trash. It's just not going to be good. Because the reality is Null is a lot easier and Mephisto is a lot easier than Kang. Just like a lot. Like, people don't realize it unless you climb. But we can do stage 50. Like Emma Frost, you remember when Emma Frost was released? She was released January 2022, almost 2 years ago. Okay? Emma Frost could clear stage 54 of Null. I remember this clearly. With a regular judgment, a character from 2 years ago could clear 54 of Null with a regular judgment. To put that into perspective for you, I needed a tier 4 Cable with double support and a mighty CTP of energy and an artifact to even have a shit's chance in my ass of clearing 45. So I just went down 9 stages. I juiced the character to tier 4. I juiced the CTP. I needed the artifact, all these Odin's blessings, and I barely cleared 45. And that's also considering the fact that I have swords now, which is an extra 30% attack and whatever. I didn't have swords 2 years ago for Emma Frost. The difficulty level between these bosses is astronomical once you get out of like the low stages. At the low stages, you can't tell, but once you get out of the low stages, my God, it's so much harder. And the rewards don't really reflect that right now. So, yeah, that's kind of just the truth. So I am excited for this these changes, this development team letter. I'm happy that the devs are still doing this, and I'm really happy with the things that they've said. However, the 2 main issues in the game that I think still need to be addressed are 1, we need more meaningful ways to use our whole roster. We still do need that. And 2, we need rewards that reflect the difficulty of the content we're doing. And we need the rewards to be reflective of that difficulty. I.e., the easier the content is, the lower the rewards. And the harder the content is, the better the rewards. So we need that. We need both of those things in the game ASAP. Something as, again, I'm just throwing ideas off the wall. I know this is a really long video, but something as easy as just like like Shadowland, a game mode where you can only use one character, and you have a little map, and you're just going along the nodes, and maybe you have different branches. It's literally just Marvel Contest of Champions, and at each node, it only lets you choose from a small selection of characters. And as you use characters, they get deducted from your roster, and you have to just keep going. And the further you go, the harder it gets, right? But so just something. I want a reason to use Ares and feel like he did something for my roster, rather than just being a Shadowland coin every week and nothing else. So yeah, I think honestly that's the most pressing issue right now. I think the rewards actually are second. I think if they find a way to meaningfully apply our whole roster, or at least the roster of characters who have been reworked and given uniforms in the past 2 to 3 years. They don't have to do the whole roster, right? Like tier 2s and shit like that, no. But if they focus on finding a way to bring value and bring worth to the sort of 150 characters, 200 characters that they've reworked in the past 3 years, I think that would go a long way to making the game feel a lot more fulfilling. Because as it stands now, the reason why World Boss is the most popular game mode is because it's the only fulfilling game mode, right? Like, this is what bugs me so much when they say stuff like this. The favorite game mode of our agents was World Boss. Yes, it is the favorite game mode because it fulfills the power fantasy. It fulfills the power fantasy. And it allows you, it says, you know, you build up this character, and then you bring him against Kang or Jean or Gore, and he smashes the boss, and you feel powerful. And that's what we want, but we want to feel powerful with all of the characters, not just 20 or 30 characters, right? We want to feel powerful with 100 different characters. So you have to fulfill that power fantasy on a larger scale, right? And that's what the Marvel Universe is all about. Whether you're talking about the movies, the TV shows, the games, the comics. It's about taking a group of heroes, right? Taking a large contingency of heroes and creating a situation in which they can all fulfill the power fantasy, which is that I'm becoming stronger and I'm defeating an enemy, or I am solving a problem that needs to be solved in order to, you know, maintain peace or whatever. That's kind of the goal here. And when you release characters like Groot, who have absolutely no use, you release characters like Punisher, who have basically no use, no use, no use, no use, no use, no use. You get the point here. These characters have no opportunity to fulfill a power fantasy. And so they're just a waste of space. And then you don't build them, and then you feel like the game is a waste of space, and then you consider uninstalling. That's just the basic logic of players, right? They look at this latest update and they say, okay, I did my Captain Marvel Power Fantasy. That was fun. What else? Miss Marvel Fantasy? That's stupid. There's no Miss Marvel Fantasy. Captain Monica Rambeau Power Fantasy? There is no Power Fantasy here. Nick Fury? There's no Power Fantasy here. Okay, I'm done with the update. I guess I'm going to uninstall for a couple of weeks and I'll come back later. And I don't blame players who do that. I don't blame players who do that because that's the reality, right? The devs have to do a better job of giving us ways to fulfill that goal. I keep saying power fantasy, but to fulfill the power fantasy with different characters, right? To give you guys another analogy, I know again, this video is super long, but to give you another analogy, if you've ever played an RPG, if you've ever played an action RPG or an MMO RPG, you have different classes, right? You have like barbarian, druid, sorcerer, right? Thief. You have all, right? You can have some games have like 10 classes, some games have like 5 classes, whatever. Imagine that every character in this game is a class, okay? Just imagine that. You're playing an MMORPG and there's 200 classes. Wow, that's really cool, Alex. There's 200 classes. And to be fair, some RPGs have close to 200 classes if you consider all of the masteries and all of the sort of permutations, right? Because you have like, you start as a knight, but then you could become like a paladin, or you could become like a dark knight or a blood knight. So that one has now become 4. Anyways, imagine these are all different classes. The way the game is now, only some of the classes can actually do the raid content, right? Can do the raid bosses, can do the fun content. Only some of the classes can do it. Most of the other classes can't do the raid content. So you can play them as a meme, you can play them as a joke, but you can't actually enjoy the game properly with some of these characters. With, in my opinion, most of these characters. And maybe the answer is not to make them all raid capable, but at least make these characters worth something so I don't feel stupid or like I'm wasting my time when I build up and level up these characters. You feel me? All right. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the development team letter. Thank you so much for the devs for releasing this, and I hope that the game, cheers to 4 more years, as I always say. Hell yeah. I want MFF to last forever, baby. And I hope that they continue to listen to us. And please watch my PvP video because the Grand Cross PvP thing is genius, and they just need to copy and paste that into the game. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.